and it's DC versus Marvel. And for this matchup, we will be doing the Justice League from the live-action movies from DCU, and we'll be taking the MCU Avengers from the first movie, so the original 6.
You already know what it is.
It's your boy JJ with the Geeked Out podcast, and this is Geeked Out with JJ. I'm JJ, and let's get right into it. I will be coming out with a couple videos, and hopefully you guys like them. I'll be talking about versus matchups. I'll be talking about origins. And I'll be rambling on about opinions that I have about all things geeks, right? I'm talking about anime, I'm talking about comic books, I'm talking about horror movies, and I love matchups. I love versus. I love taking people who've never fought, people who have fought, people who should never fight, and people who should have fought already. And I like talking about them. I like discussing who wins, why they win, and that's my favorite part of it. Today, to start off as my first video, I will talk about an argument that I have with my friends constantly, probably once a week, and it's DC versus Marvel. And for this matchup, we will be doing the Justice League from the live-action movies from DCU, and we'll be taking the MCU Avengers from the first movie, so the original 6. So first things first, talk about rosters. We got the Justice League. We got Batman. We got Wonder Woman. We got Superman, Aquaman, Flash, and we got Cyborg. Already, it's looking tough. The DC doesn't try to hide away from making characters more realistic. They're more into the business of faming ridiculous feats that are unfathomable to the human mind. I can get into that, but I won't, because DCU hasn't really showed a lot of that yet. The only person that they really are faming that ridiculous strength for is Superman, and it just kind of makes sense. A lot of the characters are young and new into their stories, which should give MCU a better chance as opposed to their comic book versions, which are, ain't no slouch. The MCU Avengers roster, their original 6, obviously they have their big 3, Thor, Cap, and Iron Man. Then you got the Hulk, you got Black Widow, and you got the God of Gods himself, the Messiah, the strongest Avenger, Hawkeye. Going right into it, we could talk about the matchups. I think obviously it's a no-brainer that the Hulk and Superman go at it first. It's Captain America probably fights Aquaman. Batman, he likes to, abuse people in fights. So he'll probably take on Black Widow. She might seem like she's the weak link. Flash versus Hawkeye, I think that happens because of Hawkeye's experience with Quicksilver. And I think that'll compel him to fight the Flash, which is a bad idea. Iron Man versus Cyborg, that was written in the stars. You can't get around that. And the most interesting matchup is Wonder Woman and Thor. It's interesting for a lot of reasons, and I'll get into that as soon as their matchup comes up. So the first matchup I'm going to go with is the Fight of Humans, and that is Batman versus Black Widow. Using a lot of Black Widow's feats, there's not a lot of reason for me to think that she could win this fight. She wasn't able to put down Taskmaster, and essentially I believe it's going to be just as tough a fight against Batman, except for the fact that Batman isn't being controlled or mindless and just fighting. Batman is a tactician. He's a genius. He he could make plans mid-fight, and I don't see him taking an L to Black Widow. Black Widow, I think, does put up a decent fight, but inevitably, Batman takes the dub. Moving on, Flash versus Hawkeye. Obviously, Hawkeye is the strongest Avenger. From what we've seen with him and Quicksilver's exchanges, Hawkeye is on usually the short end of the stick with those. The only time Hawkeye really had an advantage on Quicksilver was a sneak attack from below. And if the Flash and him are, squaring off, that sneak attack isn't going to be there. I don't see Hawkeye surviving more than a minute against the Flash, or more than 10 seconds. So that's another win for the DCU. Flash takes the dub. We got Captain America versus Aquaman. This is a young Aquaman. Jason Momoa has done a great job with, making us not laugh at Aquaman every time he's on screen. At least not for the wrong reasons. I think we've moved past the Aquaman who rides fishes above water. I think that meme really just destroyed the character for years. But Jason Momoa has done an amazing job with it. This Aquaman is great, but this is a young Aquaman, and Captain America, he's war-ridden. He's a vet. He's done this. And I think Captain America takes this dub, which I'm a bit reluctant to say, but I could live with my decision on this one. Moving on, we have Superman versus Hulk. In the comics, this is a much better matchup. We could use a lot of different Hulks, like World Breaker Hulk, World War Hulk, like these guys that are brutes, but the MCU Hulk isn't all that impressive. We've seen Hulk go toe-to-toe with Thor. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Thanos. And both times, he just takes a lot of L's. The more I think about it, the Hulk has a lot of L's under his belt, which is not great because this Superman, he don't take L's. This Superman is ridiculous. He's stacked beyond belief. Honestly, there's no chance. This Superman, I think, goes toe-to-toe with Thanos and wins. So I think once he hits Hulk in the jaw like Thanos did, I don't think Hulk's going to have the will to fight much longer. So Soup takes that one. I'll save that one. We got Iron Man versus Cyborg. This is not Iron Man's nano suit, so he does have a bit of a disadvantage. But again, this is Cyborg early on. He's still learning to use these powers because a lot of the powers just kind of activate themselves. I think Iron Man takes this, based on experience alone. With that being said, we move on to the funnest matchup we have is Wonder Woman Thor. Reason this is fun is mainly because it's two different types of mythology here at work. And I could see Wonder Woman being upset, Thor calling himself a god. Maybe she doesn't know about Norse mythology. But inevitably, I think Thor wins, which I'm also reluctant to give because DCU does talk about and show Wonder Woman's speed. And the MCU doesn't do much of Thor's speed feats because in the comics, he's really fast. You just don't see that in the MCU. With that being said, Thor still takes the dub. And that leaves us with a 3-on-3 matchup. Batman, Flash, and Soups taking on the big three from MCU. Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Obvious matchups, I think, here will be Captain America, Batman, and Superman, Thor. Which leaves Iron Man and the Flash. Captain America, Batman fight is not going to end in time for the other fights to, still be going. Because they're going to fight till Batman gets tired. And that's usually how the fights go in different matchups. Is Captain America and Batman are pretty even, pretty deadlocked in terms of like hand to hand. Batman with a bit more martial arts, but with Captain America with a bit more speed and strength. So this fight doesn't end in time, and whoever has teammates on the field is probably going to win this. You got the Flash and Iron Man. I think Iron Man has the advantage just because he could take to the sky. I think eventually he finally does hit Flash with the energy blast, and the Flash runs himself into a wall, and he's out for the right. Now we have the bronze matchup, Thor versus Superman. Again, this MCU Thor isn't as impressive as the comic books. If this was like a Rune King Thor or a different Thor, then maybe it'll be a funner matchup. But this Thor doesn't stand much chance against the Superman. Like I said, I think this Superman takes Thanos and hands him his own ass. And this Thor pretty much got washed by Thanos with just the Power Stone. And that's if he even used the Power Stone. Because he didn't use it on Hulk and he washed him real quick. So that being said, Superman makes quick work of Thor. Now he's looking at Iron Man in the sky. Iron Man's looking down the barrel because it's not going to end well for Iron Man. Again, this is not the nano suit, so he doesn't have the advantage of being able to replace armor he's lost. So it's just going to take Superman, even if he doesn't speed blitz, because speed blitz is just unfair. Even if he doesn't speed blitz, Superman can tank anything Iron Man can throw at him. Iron Man cannot tank what Superman can throw at him. Superman wins. Now you have a 2-on-1 Batman and Superman going against Captain America, and that's not even fair. That's like a child looking down a fight with, I don't know, the U.S. Army. It's not gonna work. It's just a lot of manpower with just Superman, and Captain America having to, face him by himself is not even fair. With that being said, obviously Captain America loses. None of them die because Justice League doesn't do that unless your name is Steppenwolf. And yeah, I mean, I knew exactly the outcome before I started even talking. I was hoping that maybe the more I talked, I would see a different outcome possibly happening. But Superman is the deciding factor. He's too strong almost. And I would be more upset about how OP they made him. But they chose Henry Cavill to play him. And Henry Cavill is the greatest human being to ever walk on the earth. So, that being said, DCU, Justice League, takes the dub. MCU Avengers. I will be doing a video later with more of a comparable team. Maybe, obviously they're not having Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch is a big hit. But this was the OG Avengers I used. And just for the first video, I will do more videos later after Multiverse of Madness with the updated MCU roster. And, we probably have a different outcome then. We just have to wait and see. I appreciate y'all coming to watch, staying this long. Like, comment, subscribe. If you disagree with anything I said, leave a comment. Keep the name calling and the insults to a maximum. Do it. Lean in. Hurt my feelings. Let me have it. Yeah. So DCU, Justice League with the dub. Thanks for watching. Geeked Out with JJ. Geeked Out Podcast.